Tov, Erev Tov, we are beginning the introduction of the Rambam. Yesterday we did the first two Pesukim, as well as some other tangents of the Rambam himself about these Pesukim. Now it's time to begin the words of the Rambam. So we are in the Mishneh Torah, in the first sentence of the introduction. Kol ha-mitzvot, all of the mitzvot, שנתנו לו למשה בסיני, that were given to Moshe on Har Sinai, בפירושה ניתנו, were given with their perush, with their explanation. I'll read the footnotes after we read. שנאמר, like it says, ואתנה לך את לוחות האבן והתורה והמצווה, that I have given you the tablets of stone, the Torah and the mitzvah. That's a pasuk in Sefer Shmot. Torah, zo Torah shebichtav. Our rabbis tell us Torah, that's the written Torah. V'ha-mitzvah, and the mitzvah, perusha, that's its commentary. We're on the top of page Lamed Vav, the next page. V'tzivanu la'asot ha-Torah al pi ha-mitzvah. And we have been commanded to obey the Torah, to observe the Torah al pi ha-mitzvah, in the way that the mitzvah requires from us. And this mitzvah that we are commanded to obey mitzvot in accordance with is what we call Torah Sheba'al Peh. This is the foundation of the whole system of Halachah, is that we have a written Torah and we have an oral Torah. And the written Torah is only explained properly through the oral Torah that was given to us on Har Sinai as well. We will discuss soon, in the coming days, the difference between the oral law as a concept and what we practically have as a Mishnah, as a Talmud. Those books are the best recreations of the oral law possible. But the oral law means that when the Torah was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, HaTorah beperushan nitnu. The Torah was given, ha-mitzvot beperushan nitnu. The mitzvot were given with their explanations. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't just throw some vague pasuk out there and said, rabbis, you go interpret this how you want. You go break your heads and figure it out. Interpretations. We always hear this word. These are not interpretations. These are the exact commentary given to Moshe Rabbeinu by the creator, by the author of the Torah himself. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives the Torah to Moshe, he also gives him all of the details that come along with that mitzvah. This is a foundation of Halachah. This is a foundation of Judaism. If someone cannot accept this premise, then they may be biologically part of the Jewish people, but they are most definitely not part of the students of the Chachamim who consider the system of Halachah as we know it not man-made inventions, not people's interpretations, but these are divine laws explained by the same divine mouth who gave them to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. Let's look here, let's turn back a page and look at footnote Daled. This is the first real footnote of Rabbi Yosef Kapach that we're going to be doing, which involves other sources and analyzing texts. If you look in Daled, it says, Katav Ayin Bet Hey Mem. This is an acronym for a book. Let's go, I'll show you how you find it. You're going to go a few pages before to the list of all the rabbis that Rabbi Yosef Kapach mentions. You're going to see Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled, Hey. It's literally 2 pages before where you're at in the book right now. And you're going to look for the letter Ayin. So Ayin is going to be 1 page before. Ayin. And you want to go down 1 entry, 2 entries. Ayin Bet Hey Mem stands for Avodat HaMelech. The Service of the King. This book was written by Rabbi Menachem Krakovsky, or Karkovsky. I don't know how you pronounce that properly. The book Avodat HaMelech by Rabbi Menachem Krakovsky, who was born in Russia. He died in Lithuania. In my research of him, he was born in 1870 and died in 1929, to give you a little bit of a framework of when he lived. Some notable facts about him. He was a student of the Netziv. So among other great rabbis he studied from, he studied by the Netziv, Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin. If you want to understand context of that, the Netziv is the rabbi also of Rav Kook in Yeshivat Volozhin. and he was Mekorav, he was very close to Rabbi Chaim of Brisk. Give me one moment, my LEDs are killing me. So now back to where we are in the Mishneh Torah, in footnote Daled, in the Hagdama. Katav Avodat HaMelech. Rabbi Menachem Karkovsky in the Avodat HaMelech writes, Rabbenu atzmo behagdamato lepirush HaMishnayot. Rabbenu Rambam himself, in his introduction to Perush HaMishnayot. Get used to that acronym because you're going to see it a lot. Tzien Mekor HaDevarim leTorat Kohanim Parashat Behar. He gave a source for this idea. The Rambam himself sourced this concept of the Torah was given with its commentary to the Torat Kohanim and Parashat Behar. Af kol hamitzvot ne'emru kelalehen upratehen v'digdukehen mehar Sinai. And the quote from the Torat Kohanim is that all of the mitzvot were given in their generalities and in their specifics, as well as their details, mehar Sinai, on Mount Sinai. Upiresh Rabbenu Sham, and Rabbenu Harambam explains there in his commentary to the Mishnah, Omram kelaloteha upirtoteha העניינים שעלינו לומדם בכלל ובפרט, ושאר י"ג מידות. What does it mean, its generalities and its specifics? If you remember in Shacharit and Tefillah, there's a paragraph right before we begin Hodu. Rabbi Shmuel says that these are the ways, the 13 ways in which the Torah is studied, is expounded upon. All of those ways where we study things from generalities, from specifics, from various rules, Kal Vachomer, Gzerat Shava, Gzerat HaKatuv, all of those things are part of the Torah that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. V'agran, the Gaon, Rabbeinu Eliyahu, who's that? The Gaon of Vilna. Hosif Letzayen, he included also a source, the Torat Kohanim Parashat Tzav. The Torat Kohanim Parashat Tzav. Asher tziva Adonai, which Hashem commanded, v'chulei, larbot et kulam, meaning it includes everything in the Torah. Uvetorat Kohanim, Pershat b'chukotai, b'Har Sinai, biyad Moshe melamed shenitana haTorah hilchoteha, dikdukeha, uperusheha, al yidei Moshe miSinai. That all of the details of the Torah, the generalities, the specifics, and the details, were given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Mount Sinai. V'darisham, ele hachukim, and when it expounds there, when it says, these are the laws, ele hachukim, these are the statutes, Elu hamidrashot. These are all the things that we learn out from the laws. Meaning it includes all of that as well. If you want to find more sources to the fact that the Torah was given on Mount Sinai with all of its details, you can look in the following sources. B'Yerushalmi, in the second chapter of Pe'ah, Devarim hadvarim mikra Mishnah Talmud v'Agada, v'ayin Megillah Yutet, and if you look in page 19 in the Babylonian Talmud of Megillah, tractate Megillah, on page Bet, and includes also this conversation as well. So, again, Rabbenu Harambam does not give sources. When he writes his Mishneh Torah, doesn't give us sources. And therefore, Rabbi Yosef Kapach is doing his best to give us sources, and he's showing you there are a number of different sources, aside from that, which the Avodat HaMelech shows that the Rambam himself gave a source for this concept. There are others, like the Gaon of Vilna, who shows there are other places where this idea is alluded to as well, that the whole Torah was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. Well, this is true. There's a little bit of a debate as to how much of the Torah was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Mount Sinai. So let's look at the next paragraph. V'katav kuf reish mem. Kuf reish mem, you're going to want to look that up. So you want to turn again to the index of rabbis, to the letter kuf. And you're going to find kuf. The last entry of kuf is kuf reish mem, Kiryat Melech. The city of the king. Who's that? Harav Siach Kanievsky. That's Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky. So, back to our Hagdama. He writes here, V'katav Kiryat Melech bezvachim kuf tet vav bet. In the Kiryat Melech writes that in the Talmud, in Masechet Zvachim, on page 115b, Plige Rabbi Shmuel v'Rabbi Akiva. There's an argument between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva. The Rabbi Shmuel Svirale, Rabbi Shmuel is of the opinion, Kelalot ne'emru b'Sinai, that the generalities, the general mitzvot of the Torah were given in Har Sinai, upratot b'Ohel Moed, and the individual mitzvot were given in the Ohel Moed, in the tent of meeting. V'Rabbi Akiva Svirale, Rabbi Akiva holds, Kelalot upratot ne'emru b'Sinai. Both of them, the generalities and the specifics were given on Har Sinai. Upasak Rabbenu, and Rabbenu HaRambam ruled ki Rabbi Akiva Mechabro, like Rabbi Akiva, the author. Mashma, so it seems like, let's skip 2 lines, the Svira like Rabbi Akiva, the Rambam rules like Rabbi Akiva. Vayan Shir HaShirim Rabba, Perik Bet, Yud Aleph, and look at Shir HaShirim, the Midrash Rabbah there. Af al pi shnitna b'Sinai, even though the Torah was given on Har Sinai, lo ne'enshu aleha ad shnitparsha bo'el moed. The Jewish people were not punished for violating the Torah until it was later explained at the 10th of meeting in the Ohel Moed. So there seem to be 2 phases of Kabbalat Torah. And with Rabbi Ishmael saying that part of the Torah, the generalities were given on Har Sinai, and the specifics were given on the 10th of meeting, whereas there's other opinions of the opinion Rabbi Akiva says that all happened in Har Sinai, and the Midrash and Shir HaShirim says, well, a little bit of a compromise perhaps, that was all given on Har Sinai, but the Jewish people were not liable for violating the Torah until they came to, until the Torah was explained in the Ohel Moed. V'niran, it appears, says Rav Kapach, she'en tzarich lomar shepasak Rabbi Akiva mechabro. You don't have to say that the Rambam rules like Rabbi Akiva. Deradat Rabbenu, because according to Rabbenu HaRambam, Rabbi Yishmael talmid Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yishmael is the student of Rabbi Akiva. U'komo shekadav lekarman, like he's going to write later on. V'kach kadav b'pirush Mishnayot Eduyot, and if you look in the Rambam's commentary on the Pirush Mishnayot, he writes there that Rabbi Yishmael is a student of Rabbi Akiva. But not just the fact that Rabbi Yishmael is a student of Rabbi Akiva, ugdola mizo, greater than this, deledat Rabbenu en lomar b'chayotze beze halachah keploni. In such a circumstance, the Rambam would never say the halachah follows Rabbi Akiva, or halachah follows Rabbi Yishmael. Why? Kevan she'en betotzaat hamachloket halachah l'maaseh. Because this argument about how much of the Torah was given on Mount Sinai, how much of it was given at the Ohel Moed, has no practical ramification in halakha. And there's no reason to rule that way. Okay, really, that's more sources. This is an important point. There are 2 points here. First off, you see something amazing, which is Rabbi Ishmael argues with his rabbi. And our Chachamim record both sides of that argument. Again, this is a relationship that is of a rabbi and a student who are both able to debate each other. The second, and perhaps one that is extremely important, is that not all matters have to be decided. Rabbenu HaRambam would not choose to rule like Rabbi Akiva or rule like Rabbi Ishmael in a situation where there is no nafka mina, there's no practical consequence to this argument. So often, people give opinions where no opinions are necessary. This one says this one says that. Practically, what difference does it make? It doesn't make a difference. So why do you have to stick your head inside? And says Rav Kapach, I don't think that the Rambam is ruling like one or the other, just practically, whether the mitzvot were given here, mitzvot were given there. At the end of the day, all of the mitzvot were given to the Jewish people, and they are obligated in all of them. Let's look on page Lamed Vav. On page Lamed Vav, we have another footnote, which is about the word Perusha, the commentary to the Torah. Let's do this together. Brachot Hey Aleph. If you go to Talmud Bavli and you look up Tractate Brachot, page 5a, Amar Shimon ben Lakish. Shimon ben Lakish says, "My dichtiv." What does it say? What does it mean when it says V'tna lachat luchot? That I will give you the luchot. Luchot, the tablets. Elu aseret hadibrot. These are the 10 commandments. Torah, zo mikra. This is the mikra. We should use this word more often. Mikra. We use Torah to mean every Jewish book that was ever written. Mikra is the Chumash. Hamitzvah, zo mishnah. Asher katavti, that which I wrote. Elu nevi'im uktuvim. These are the books of the prophets and the writings. Lehorotam, to teach them. Zo gemara. This is the Gemara. Melamed, that teaches you. Shekulam nitnu leMoshe miSinai. These were all given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. V'ayin Megillah Chavtet Bet, and go look in the Talmud, Masechet Megillah, page 29b. V'ayin Kaf Hey Mem. What is that? Kaf Hey Mem. let's go back to the index of the rabbis. I want to show you how to use this index properly. And you're going to find there, in the letter Kaf, it's the second entry. Under Kaf, it says, Keter HaMelech, the crown of the king. It's Harav Katriel Aharon Natan. I don't know how to pronounce that one either. I couldn't find much about Rabbi Katriel Aharon on the internet. What I did find is he was the rabbi for a period of time of Augustov in Poland. That he lived somewhere in the 1800s to the 1900s. That was his, more or less, in that area. He was the son-in-law of the famous Rabbi Meir Ichel Panovitcher. So, from the city of Panovich, you may have heard of the yeshiva of Panovich. He was in the last 200 years in Ashkenaz. So Rav Kapach quotes him, Ayen Keter HaMelech, look in his book Keter HaMelech, She'erich bepilpulim drushim, that he wrote a lot about all kinds of different pilpulim that are meant to explain this concept. Vayen Kehillat Melech, and look again, Kehillat Melech Kanievsky, the B'Megillat Ta'anit, Sof Perek Dalet, Shayut Tzedukim Omrim, that Tzedukim would say, the Sadducees, who were those who argued with the Pirushim, the Pharisees, Ayin Tachat Ayin, it says in the Torah, an eye for an eye. Amul Lehem Chachamim, the Chachamim said, V'haloktiv, is it not written, HaTorah, V'hamitzvah, Asher Katavti Norotam, meaning the rabbis used this pasuk, which taught that there is a written law and an oral law, as a rebuttal to the Tzedukim, to show that we don't accept just the written law, we accept that this written law was given to Moshe Rabbeinu with its perush, with its oral law. Let's do one more footnote, and that's footnote Vav. This goes on the word al pi mitzvah. V'tzivanu la'asot haTorah al pi mitzvah, which the Rambam said that we are commanded to observe the Torah in the way that the mitzvah, the oral law, dictates to us to observe the mitzvot. Klomar, says Rav Kapach in footnote Vav, she'en anu reshaim levaer hamitzvot kefi hanireh lanu. We have no permission to explain, to interpret the mitzvot however we feel. Ela, rather, mishubadim anu, we are submissive. We are bound to the Perush Kibel Moshe Sinai, to the commentary, which the explanations which Moshe received on Har Sinai. I think this is an important understanding. That Judaism is not a democracy. Judaism requires from us a certain level of obedience. Obedience to who? To the Torah Shebaal Peh. We sometimes read the Chumash. Well, how does it mean that? Or the rabbis. The rabbis are not pulling things out of their hat. Chachmei Israel in the Talmud are teaching us their recollection of Moshe Rabbeinu's explanations of the Torah and Har Sinai. And we are mishubadim. We are required. We are bound to their interpretation of the Torah mitzvot. Remember, we read recently from Rabbi Yosef Albon, the Sefer Ikarim. He spoke about the ability for Chachamim to differ in different matters that don't have to do with Halachah. Explain the Torah this way, explain the Torah that way. But when it comes to Halachah, when it comes to observance of Halachah, you have an obligation to understand the Torah and to observe the Torah in the way that Chachmei Israel received the Torah on Har Sinai. V'lo, and not only that, אלא שהרבה מצוות נעלמת ממנו הגדרתה ומהותה. There are many mitzvot which are vague in the Torah. They don't include with them הגדרתה, their definitions, ומהותה, their essence. אלמלא תורה שבעל פה. Unless we have a Torah שבעל פה, you don't know what to do with these mitzvot. וכמו שכתב רבנו סעדיה גאון, like Rav Sa'adia Gaon writes, באמונות ודעות, in his book אמונות ודעות, המאמר השלישי, פרק ג', in the third essay, chapter 3, וכתב קהילת מלך, and Rabbi Kanievsky writes, עיין סנהדרין פרק ח' ב', ופירושו מדברי סופרים, ועיין ירושלמי עבודה זרה, פרק ב', הלכה ז'. He's telling you to go look at these other sources that reiterate this point. We need a Torah Shebaal Peh. Not only do we need a Torah Shebaal Peh, we are required to observe these mitzvot in the way of the Torah Shebaal Peh, the way the Torah Shebaal Peh explains to us to do this. He mentions Rav Sa'adia Gaon's Emunot V'Deot, and I believe that this chapter that he's referring to is too good of a chapter to skip it and to say it's a tangent, it's not a tangent. It's important to understand this in order to understand why on earth we even need divine messengers to tell us what HaKadosh Baruch Hu meant. Why couldn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Why don't we just follow the Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on its own? So I added to tonight's shiur a PDF in the Google Classroom. You'll find it in the announcement. You'll also find it in the classwork section under Rambam. It'll say Rabbenu Sa'adia Gaon, Emunot V'Deot, and it will say chapter 3:3. In this essay, in section 2, in chapter 2, Rabbi Sa'adia Gaon mentions there are two kinds of mitzvot. Well, let's read. V'kivan she'amarti, because I said, devarim elu, these words, b'shnei chelkei mitzvot, the two types of mitzvot, v'hem hasichliot v'shma'iyot, the logical mitzvot, those you could infer logically, I'm oversimplifying this concept, v'shma'iyot, and those which we heard from the divine, probably because you would need the divine to tell you that this is a mitzvah. You can imagine there's a difference between the mitzvah of do not steal, do not murder, do not take someone else's wife, to the mitzvah of you should use a red cow to purify yourself, or you should bring fruits to the Ben Mikdash 3 times a year. In this book, like many other of the books of Chachmei Sfarad, you find Hebrew on the right side and Judeo-Arabic on the left side. So this fits in very well to the conversation we had last night about Arabic, and this is the translation of Rabbi Yosef Kapach. So once I already split the mitzvot into two categories, if I could say logical mitzvot and divine mitzvot. Ra'ui she'eva'er mahu hatzorech, and this is very much going to play into this conversation about whether morality is objective or subjective. There's two types of moralities in the Torah. Ra'ui she'eva'er mahu hatzorech b'shlichat shlichim unvim. He said, I felt the need to explain to you what the need is in Hashem sending messengers and prophets. Ki shamati anashim, I heard people omrim say she'en livnei adam tzorech l'shlichim. We don't need any human beings involved in our Torah. V'shekulam maspik lehem shuchsharu b'ma sheyesh bo min hatov v'hara. And it's enough. We just know what's good and bad, what's right and wrong, and we don't need people to get involved in our religion. By the way, this sentiment often comes from those who came from man-made religions to the Jewish people. I've experienced a lot in our bedin process. People who are so upset at a religion that they may have followed in the past, that was given by man, that was invented by man, then when it comes to the Torah, it's very difficult to see the difference between a Torah that is divine, with divine explanations taught to us by human beings, than looking at it as this is a perfectly divine Torah with human beings who interfered and made it a human Torah. So he said, I sat down to analyze this matter truthfully. V'reiti bo, and I perceived, she'ilu haya hadavar k'mo she'amru, that if the truth was the way they were saying it, ki az lo haya borei yodat hadavar yoter mihem sholach shluchim, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who for sure understands the world better than us, wouldn't send us messengers. Meaning, if you're right that we don't need prophets, or we don't need chachamim, if you're right, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't send us prophets. Lefi she'enam osa, lefi she'no oseh ma she'en inyan bo. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu does nothing that is redundant. HaKadosh does nothing which is useless. This is an important rule. When you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu do something, when the Torah says something, or the Torah omits something, there's always a reason. The Torah doesn't just say things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't just do things unless there's a reason for those things to be done. V'he'emakti biyun, and I analyzed this in depth. Umatzati, and I found ki tzorech bnei adam l'shlichim tzorech hechechi, that people have a very great need for messengers from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And not only because how else are they going to hear the divine mitzvot if Hashem doesn't explain it to them? But the divine messengers help us in understanding even the logical mitzvot. The mitzvot which we would understand objectively from the Torah, without a Torah. Says Rabbenu Sa'adia Gaon, that we would not know how to properly execute these mitzvot if it wasn't for HaKadosh Baruch Hu sending us messengers explaining us how to do them. So for example, our intellect teaches us, logically we understand, that we have to give thanks to Hashem for the good He does for us. But there are no definitions, there are no limits in our intellect of how much do we pray. Lo ba'amira, not what do we say. V'lo b'zman, not in what time of day we should pray or what time of year we should pray. V'lo b'tochen, not in the content of what we should say. Yeah, we all know, give thanks to Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. I hear such litzanim, clowns. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for what? How do you say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When do you say thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What time of day do you pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What words do you use? What concepts do you invoke? What can you ask from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What can you not ask from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Lefichach, and therefore, hu tzarachnu l'shlichim, we needed messengers. Shigbiluhu ukrauhu tefillah, that limited it, that created what we know to be tefillah. V'kavu lo itim, and they established set times for prayer. V'nosach miuchad, and a set formula for prayer, a nosach. Umatzav miuchad, and a certain status of prayer, or klape makom miuchad, in a certain place. Let's look at those two footnotes of 58 and 59. 58, ba'amidah, meaning we stand up, ukriyat shema, shlo pirkadan. When we stand up, when we sit, how we say the tefillah, that's established by our chachamim. 59, klapei makom ha'aron, in front of the aron. 2 lines down. Umikol makom, nonetheless, says Rabbi Yosef Kapach, en shitat Rabbeinu binyan chiyuv atfilah bora liyetem. So I didn't fully understand Rav Sa'adia Gaon's his overall understanding of tefillah. I didn't understand it well. It seems from just the basic words that he's saying, shegam zamanei tefillah, that also the times of tefillah, nosach tefillah, the text of the tefillah, amidah b'tefillah, standing up during tefillah, v'chadome, and all the things included there, kulan deoraita. It's as if they're all deoraita, they're all from the Torah, they're all biblical in origin. Sha'arei ne'emru mipi hashlichim al yedei ha'mishalech, because they were said by divine messengers, by the one who sent them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki mipi atzmam chazarnu lehechra hadat, lechei hadat, if we just reach those conclusions logically, and so we would have no use for the messengers. If this was something logical, it was something our Chachamim invented, who cares if it came from a messenger? If it came from a messenger, it must mean that it's divine. Says Rav Kapach, I'm not sure if Rav Sa'adia Gaon is saying that even the time in which we pray is biblical. The way we stand in Amidah, is that biblical? The way we say Shema Yisrael, is that biblical? He said, I didn't understand this completely. I had a few theories, but I have if Rabbi Yosef Kapach didn't understand, I'm going to tell you that I understand. Back on top. Or for example, our logic has already told us to distance anything that is immoral, that is sexually immoral. But even though the Torah, we understand without a Torah, hey, we should stay away from forbidden relationships. But we don't have a logical way to understand, so what is the proper way to get into a relationship? How do we marry a woman? Do you do that only with words? Hey, we're married, let's go down to the sunset. Or do you do that with money? Or do we do it with her consent? Is it dependent on her father's consent? Or do we need 2 witnesses? Or asara, do we need 10 witnesses? Or b'ma'amad kol anshe ha'ir al kach, do we need the whole city to see that we got married? What makes a person married? And therefore our hashlichim, our messenger said, b'mohar uvishtar u'shnei edim. We need mohar. There has to be a financial transaction that happens there. In the olden days that was money, today it's a ring. Ushtar, a contract, a ketubah. Ushne edim, there have to be 2 witnesses. Another example, our intellect has told us, stay away from stealing things. But we don't necessarily have an objective way of understanding. I know I can't steal, but how do I make something mine? How do I take something from someone else in a way that it becomes mine? Legally. I go to a store. How does it become mine? If I work for money, does that make the money mine? If I am a merchant and I sell things from the money, does that make that money mine? If I inherit money, somebody passes away, uncle, whoever they write in their will, I want the money to go to you. Does that mean that I own the money now? What if his kids want the money? But he said, should give it to me. Does that money belong to me or does it belong to them? What about taking things that are in no man's land, in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the ocean? You find something floating in the ocean. Does it belong to someone? At which point does the transaction take place? In halakha, this is very important. You go to the store. At which point when you go to the store, do you own the object? Is it when you take it off the shelf and put it in your cart? Is it when you put it on the conveyor belt? Is it when you swipe your card? Is it when you bag the item? Is it when you leave the store? Is it when you take it home? At which point is the item yours? Or is it when I move the object, which in halakha we discuss, I own it because I can take it. The fact they let me walk out of the store with it makes it mine. So what would be a good example of that? If you buy something on a credit card, let's say the money didn't leave your account yet, but you now have the object, they let you walk away with it. According to the law, do you own that object yet? Or because they didn't get paid yet till the end of the day or till the next business day, it doesn't belong to you till the next day? Maybe the fact that they let you leave with it tells you that you own it. Maybe all I have to do is just say some words and I'll be able to walk away with it. So you can sit on every idea in the world and have many such doubts because it's an endless amount of conversation to have. Therefore, the shlichim, the messengers came. They came and gave us in every matter clear halachot. They gave us decisive rulings. For example, you see someone break someone else's property. They break someone else's car. They break someone else's store. They burn someone's house. They attack someone, whatever it is they do. We know that we should punish this person. There should be some consequence for destroying someone else's property. But our mind doesn't tell us, okay, so how much do they have to pay? Do we just say, hey, don't do that again? Like you tell a child? Do we curse them also? Do we beat them for that? And if we beat them, we have physical punishment. How much? How much do we beat them? Maybe we just kill people. Do we kill people for stealing things? There are countries in the world where it's a capital punishment to sell drugs. In America, it's different. They destroy someone's life, put them in prison their whole life. In some places, they send them to rehab. Which one is the law? Or perhaps there are different types of consequences for different types of people who damage things. Damaging someone's car may be different than damaging their home. It might be different than damaging a person. And therefore the divine messengers came. We're on page Kuf, the last page. And they assigned to each problem, to each crime, a fitting consequence. And we compare them to each other. And some of them are just financial penalties. Everything has a rule, has a set standard. Because of these things. And because for these details, for this clarity, we needed divine messengers. Because if this was all just do whatever your mind tells you should do, the whole world would disagree about what is proper, and we would never ever reach a conclusion that all of humanity could agree on. And obviously the divine ones, it's already like what we explained. Says of Sa'adia Gaon, what kind of chaos would exist in the world if we all just, hey, we'll just do what's right. Just be a good person. Okay? Let's try this. Let's put it in reality. Okay, we're all good people. There's no laws in this country. We're good people. One good person crashes into the other good person's car. Now what? Oh, just be good. What does it mean to be good? I crashed this car. What do? Do I buy him a new car? Do I fix the car? He says, listen, I don't want to fix the car. I can't drive anymore in a car that's crashed. So now you fix the car. He doesn't want it. He wants a new car. Do what's good. Just be good. What am I supposed to do with that information? How can I possibly have a society which just functions on just be good people? We hear this all the time. But there's a need for law, for order, for Torah. Even laws that are not Torah, our Chachamim tell us that you should pray for the peace of the government. Why? What, because you love the government? Because you agree with everything the government does? No. Because if not for the government, says the Mishnah, people would literally swallow each other up alive. Current events, what we're speaking about right now. Lawlessness. You think that just being good people means the world to be perfect. If only we could just get along with it. If only. But guess what? People don't get along with each other. People do bad things to each other. Sometimes not even on purpose. Sometimes by mistake. So how are you going to create order in society? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the gift of a Torah. And part of the gift of that Torah is that we have a legal tradition. A legal tradition of Chachamim, of Nevi'im, of Tanaim, of Amoraim, of Mishnah, of Talmud. We have the clarity. We know what's right to do. We know what's wrong to do. We know when it's vague, when there's every society must decide for itself what to do. But we have clarity. When someone steals from someone, we know what a person must do. When someone hurts somebody, we know what kind of teshuvah they have to do. When someone breaks a law, we understand the consequences of that law. And that's how we avoid chaos. That's how we avoid, like before the flood, the world was full of Hamas, was full of chaos, of evil. And to restore peace to the world means to restore order to the world. I've mentioned this before, but perhaps one of the greatest gifts of the Torah's law is that there is no human being on earth, even the leader, the ruler, the greatest ruler of the people in the world, there is no one who's exempt from following the law. So unlike other systems, where those who sit closer to the plate, those who are in the know, those people, they get off with a slap on their wrist. They commit crimes every day, but nothing happens for them. In Judaism, there is no such thing. Even the leaders are held accountable for their crimes. With Pinchas, remember Pinchas? Everyone gets so upset at Pinchas, who was being a zealot and how he killed somebody. Pinchas was restoring order to a Jewish community. Pinchas and his actions there is doubt that is cast on his actions. But Pinchas reinforced Jewish law by saying, I don't care that the man who's committing the crime is a prince of the Jewish people. A prince of the Jewish people and a peasant in the Jewish people both have one ruler, and that ruler is God. And you don't have the right, just because you're famous, just because you're rich, just because you're connected politically, you don't have the right to break the law and get away with it. And it can't be that someone who's not rich, that someone who's not famous, that someone who doesn't have the same privilege that you have, lives under a different standard than you live. This is also current events. In Judaism, we have a perfect system of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, when executed properly by righteous lawmakers. We have a shiur about this from Rabbi David Halevy. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not rejoice in his law. HaKadosh Baruch Hu rejoices in his lawmakers. And if the lawmakers are corrupt, says Rabbi David Halevy, it doesn't make a difference how just of a Torah you have, how beautiful of a Torah you have. If the rabbis, the teachers, the judges that are supposed to teach this Torah, if they are crooked, the Torah will be the worst book on earth. But we firmly believe, says the Rambam, back to our Mishneh Torah, that both the Torah shebichtav, the written Torah, ve'atorah sheba'al peh, and the oral Torah, were given to us by Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, and our logic requires that to be the case as well. Let's finish the last sentences here in the Rambam, and back on page Lamed Vav in the Rambam, in the footnote 6, Vav. Uv Shabbat Lamed Aleph, and in the Talmud Lamed Aleph, you remember? There's a famous story of a person who comes to convert to Judaism. He first goes to Shammai, then goes to Hillel. There's 3 different people convert to Judaism. They come to Shammai, they teach me the whole Torah standing on one foot. Shammai chases them out. They go to Hillel. Hillel converts them and tells them, listen, the whole Torah is, don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. And then this person converts to Judaism, and the question is, why did Shammai reject? Why did Hillel accept? there's a famous story that after many years, these three gerim, they found themselves in a hotel together. And they were sharing their life story, how they came to Judaism. And they said, Kabdanuto shel Shammai, the strictness of Shammai wanted to remove us from under the wings of the Shekhinah. But the acceptance of Hillel is what brought us to be righteous Jews today. Yeah, when they were starting their process, they had all kinds of questions. They had all kinds of challenges. They were threatening the system. But so what? Hillel saw that they were righteous people, that their potential was great, and he brought them close. He was correct in bringing them close. From here you learn, this is the origin of Maran's famous halakha. Maran writes in the laws of Giyur, in the laws of conversion, something very unusual. After all the laws of conversion, the Bet Yosef, Maran writes, V'akol lefi re'ot einei hadayan. All these halachot are subjective. What does it mean subjective? Whatever the dayan sees in front of his eyes is the way he has to rule. If the dayan sees this person keeps Shabbat, they eat kasher, they know the whole Torah by heart, but they're a crook, they're a liar, they're just here to trick the Bet Adin, the dayan can say, I don't want you, I'm not accepting you to Am Yisrael. And the other way can be true. Like Hillel. Hillel sees the person doesn't want to hear anything. He wants to stand on one foot and listen to one sentence. But Hillel sees this person is righteous. This person, if you give him enough time, enough patience, will end up in the Jewish people, a leader of the Jewish people. Hillel has the right to do giyur for such a person because hakol lefi re'ot einei hadayan. Everything is based on what the judges see in front of them right now. So if a person comes to Bedin and they promise and the judges believe it's sincere, and then what can you do? A person has the Yetzer Hara, and it doesn't last. So it's not good? Of course it's good. Hakol lefi re'ot einei hadayan. It's perhaps one of the only areas of halakha I can think of where the laws are subjective. It's dependent on the dayanim. So in that story, in Shabbat Lamed Aleph and Murad, I recommend if you can to go to Safaria and look up the stories in the Talmud there. Kama Torot yesh lachem? There's a famous question this Ger Tzedek asked. How many Torahs do Jewish people have? How many would you answer? How many do we have? Shtayim. We have two. Achad bichtav. We have a written Torah. V'echad ba'al peh. We have an oral Torah. We have two Torahs. Whoever told you the Jewish people have one Torah lied to you. We have two Torahs. One that is written, one that's a written law, and one that is an oral law. U'v'Torat Kohanim b'chukotay. And in Torat Kohanim b'chukotay, Melamed, it teaches us sheshtei Torot nitunu lehem l'Yisrael. The two Torot were given to the Jewish people. Achad bichtav, v'echad ba'al peh. One was a written Torah, one was an oral Torah. This is one of the 13 principles of the Rambam. To understand that the Torah that was given to us on Har Sinai cannot be changed, cannot be edited, cannot be added to, cannot be taken away. We believe that the Torah was given to us with its commentary, with its explanation. And what that explanation is, how that explanation developed, that's going to be the subject of our shiurim in the coming weeks. B'ezrat Hashem.